like to invite Vinayak ji, please. He's going to be moderating the next two sessions. And I have the pleasure of introducing Vinayak ji. I think most of you know him. He has been the founder member of the Pune CEO chapter and also the past president. I was just chatting up with him over lunch, and he told me that he's been, like we have serial entrepreneurs, he's been responsible for bringing into India 22 technologies from overseas, which has spawned into several manufacturing companies in India. So a round of applause.
Thank you, Jayant, for introducing me. We have a very interesting tech talks coming up front. And without wasting too much of time, shall I welcome Shalaaka, right? The youngest member of the CEO Club family, daughter of Yash and Sushimi, and she is an architect. Okay, she doesn't need much introduction because she's young, happening, right? And today she's going to talk about the best subject is, gender biases, correct? Thank you. Over to you, Shalaaka.
Good afternoon. Before we begin, I'd like to ask you a couple of questions. Show of hands, do we have any cricket fans in the house? Okay, great. This one's for you. Can somebody answer this question, please? Who was the first cricketer to score a double century in an ODI? Okay, great. Next question. Let's move on to tennis. Maximum number of Grand Slams under the belt. Who is this tennis player? Yes, sir. Okay, great. Now let's look at the answers to these two questions. Question 1. The answer is Belinda Clark. She was the first cricketer to score a double century in an ODI. Second question. Answer is Steffi Graf. She has till date the maximum number of Grand Slams under her belt. Okay, so we see a pattern here, don't we? It's almost like automatic, like we're psychologically wired to think about the men's achievements. And guess who else is programmed to think this way? Google, can you believe it? This is what I was looking for. This is what I got in return. Did you mean things women achieved for men? Can you believe that? Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Shalaaka, and this is what I would like to address today. Let me give you a little bit of a background on me. So, growing up, I was surrounded by incredibly independent and strong women. From my mother to my grandmothers to my aunts, cousins, and even my little sister. Exceptionally hardworking and high-achieving women, breaking glass ceilings, not only in their personal but also professional lives. So I was always surrounded by this intense feminine energy and kind of shielded by this reality of today's society. So I'd like to walk you through a couple of incidents that have stuck with me through the years, and also like to give you what my takeaways were from each of them. Okay, so I'd seen a couple of gender-based biases here and there, but it was only in university that it was truly eye-opening and in my face. It was the first time I was meeting people from different walks of life, both socially, economically, and especially in terms of mindset. Ignorant, sexist comments, inappropriate behavior, inappropriate contact, just thrown around like it's nobody's business. And the most shocking aspect of it all to me was that how normal people thought this was. There was this one time where this inappropriate behavior was directed towards me, and I was not raised to accept this, so I wasn't going to take it lying down. There's this one thing my mom keeps telling me. Shalaaka, we do not take crap from anybody. And so I did what I had to do, and I reported it to whoever I had to report it to. There's only one thing that came out of this entire incident. The individual responsible for it got off easy, but now I was the girl who made a big deal out of an otherwise insignificant situation. Okay, let me narrate another incident. So it's been a difficult past couple of years for all of us, I'm sure. It's never easy to see somebody that you love, your loved ones, suffer or even pass away. A year ago, we lost my grandfather, and we were obviously overwhelmed with all of this emotion. And there was this priest who thought it was a brilliant idea to come up to me and say, "Hey, women aren't supposed to be here, what are you doing here?" I was furious, but the conversation did not go any further, that was that. But 2 weeks ago again, it was the annual puja for my grandfather. I was there again, same set of priests. Somebody said it was a good idea again to tell me, "Hey, what are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here, you're not supposed to wear this, you're not supposed to be touching this," etc. My dad stood there observing all of this happening, and he could see the fury in my eyes, and he asked me one question. "Shalaaka, do you think this is the time or the place to say anything about this?" To which I had a couple of things to say. One, I am not a selective feminist. Two, being a feminist is an absolute term. It is not subject to gradation. Three, I am not going to stand up for myself or other women only when it is convenient. And four, I don't want to talk about this 2 days from now, 2 weeks from now, 2 years from now when it has no real social repercussions. Let's move on. I have another incident to share. And a while ago, I came out of a physically abusive relationship. And when I finally mustered up the courage to come out with it publicly, the amount of response that I got was so overwhelming. Girls coming up to me saying, "Hey, I believe you, I stand with you, this has happened to me too," and things like that. And at the moment, I was so incredibly grateful for all the support that I was receiving. And mind you, I had never felt sisterhood like this in my entire life. Now that I think about it, it's incredibly heartbreaking because there we were, a couple of 20-something-year-olds, and we're bonding about something so tragic. And this is when I realized that this is the reality more often than not. Okay, so I was looking to change the interiors of my room, and I was going through an array of images of my phone on Instagram, Pinterest, whatever. And I was sharing these to a couple of family members and my friends. The first picture I shared with them, I got very normal responses like, "I like the proportions, don't like the color, I like the handles," things like that. Second image I shared, almost immediate and automatic response. "Wow, she must be really brave to share that picture when she looks like this." These are a couple of my takeaways from all of the incidents that I have narrated to you today. And the first one. Gender-based biases and prejudices may come in disguise of culture, in disguise of tradition, and even in disguise of religion. None of which is an excuse, and it is our duty to not only speak up when it is convenient to us. Second one, my job is not to make everybody happy. Bias may come from anybody, from a family member to a friend, to somebody passing by on the street, or even a priest. But what is wrong. You may get judgment, but standing your ground is always worth it. Third one, taking these little actions may not bring about an immediate change in the society, but starting a conversation is good enough. And lastly, we are living in 2022. I hope we don't have to talk about feminism or have any more feminist movements 5 years from now or a decade from now. Let's understand what this is all about and accept it and move on. We're living in an era where gender in itself itself is an outdated concept. Why are we still talking about gender-based roles? To end this is what I ask of you, ladies and gentlemen. I am 23 years old and standing before a room full of individuals who are high-ranking professionals and CEOs with actual power to bring about change. And this is what I ask of you. And I'm not talking about implementing mandated posh policies and things like that that nobody pays attention to. Let's watch what we say and how we say it. It's the little things that make all of the difference. Thank you very, very much.
Round of applause for the young lady. And there is absolutely no bias that we have to deal with these biases. Right? So this terrible problem, and I can share my own little example. We are working with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and right now our biggest problem is they're not going to be working with us unless we have 40% of our team members who are women. And right now we are scrambling to train and induct more and bring this requirement. So I think unless we have this kind of a situation where you have no option, there's no business without bringing this kind of a focus and equity, I think things are not going to change. So thank you very much. Very, very interesting, very precise, to the point. And we're going to request Vinayak-san to take some questions. Maybe you will start with the question first.
Thanks, Shalaaka, for a very interesting session post-lunch. I'm sure people have really got to know about what the gender biases is all about. And the poster you put at the last, talks a lot about what gender biases is all. So, what, in your opinion, the country needs to do in order to break this glass ceiling from overall behavior change?
Okay, so I think it has to start from home. We're not talking about big change without making change in our mindsets. From everyday thinking, for example, being told what to wear, being told where to go, where not to go, what time to come back, things like that, even when we were really young. I feel like the change needs to be made where boys and girls are treated equally growing up. And I think if from a young age people are brought up that way, there would be no question at all about feminism at all. So I think that's where we need to start.
Yeah, I think that's where I think the basics needs to start changing from home.
I'm going to give you an experience of mine in my first professional life. It was not about the gender bias, but it was a bias which I could not believe. I joined a company called Larsen & Toubro, L&T, which is known to people. And in that company, there was a clear demarcation between people who came from a scheduled caste or a caste. And I was told I can't sit with them. I decided to share my lunchbox with them. I repeated this in another company, Brook Bond, where there were separate toilets written there for officers, for staff. I got the nameplate changed. This has been done by Tisco also. So those biases can be done clearly. I said, I'm not going to sit alone in the officers' canteen if there are only 2 officers in a small factory in Kanhan and Nagpur. I'm going to sit with the workers. So I think one of the things that you will have to do, and when I say you means the young girls of this country, is to have this movement by having boys and girls together to voice this problem and solve the problem. It cannot be solved by a small team. Thank you.
Thank you.
In the early 70s, when we were young, right? We always had there was a movement which said ladies be given preference, right? Women be given preference, whether it is ticketing, whether it is standing in a line, or whether it is going in a public transport where women are allowed from the front and the guys are allowed from the back. Do you think that because of this decades of change, the gender bias has widened?
No, I don't believe so, because I believe that these things were introduced because we were trying to have a sort of equality, not that anybody needs preference over the other. But it was started, I guess, with the right intention, which is read wrong these days. But to answer your question, no, I don't believe that we need preference. We just need equality and we just need fairness. That's all. Yeah.
Just need friends.
Fairness.
Fair. Okay. Great. So, now Rajesh is sitting in a very convenient corner there.
I know. I mean, she's part of the family, so I know her well and admire her passion and courage to go on stage and share all the things that she did. So we're very proud of her. I don't really have much to add, but I do like one of the comments she made, which I do ask in my own firm. I think we have come to, we would have arrived when we don't have days like Women's Day, right? If you continue to have days like Women's Day, that means we are still behind, right? So I keep telling my team that I love having Women's Day, but that means we still have not evolved as humanity in having the equilibrium between men and women, that we have to have special days for women, right? So I'll be happy to see when we're all treated fair and balanced and equal, and we don't have any special days.
Thank you.
Good night. Good night.
Thank you.